What is up, people? It is the road to 100k a month, episode 14. And this week, bro, I'm gonna try and show up for you guys, bro. I cannot put into words how I don't want to record this video right now, bro. I have had a horrible week. I've had a shit week. And I have a lot of lessons that I took away from it, bro. And that I will be applying that. Again, I really don't know how to describe this week, bro. Like, frustrating, annoying, unfortunate, bro, you can say, but again, I look at it, bro, as the biggest test I've had yet. And coincidentally, bro, straight from yesterday's fucking episode, not yesterday's episode, last week's episode, when I was like, when I showed the kind of like the stages of entrepreneurship, I'll put it up on the screen right now. And I remember, and I was like, the third stage, crisis of meaning, as far as I remember, is what it was. Oh yeah, bro, I haven't felt that shit, bro. Oh yeah, bro, that shit, I don't think I'll feel that. This week was crisis of meaning, and it was literally 2-3 days after I recorded that episode last week. But you guys might be wondering what the fuck happened. Let's fucking get into it, bro. As far as the evals, the balances, whatever, I have blown dozens, bro. I don't think maybe dozens even. I think I've blown like fucking 10 or 15 evals this week, bro. But since I've been doing this shit since April, genuinely, bro, I have blown dozens of fucking evals, bro. Every time I've evaled, I have pretty much full ported. And they have always been copy synced across 5 accounts. My savings have now pretty much been completely depleted. I'm literally in debt. I'm having to loan money from my dad, bro. Like, there is just... I'm at the lowest of lows right now, bro. And this is going to be a really interesting video. Again, I'm super real with it, bro. I'm not going to hide this, bro. But I am genuinely at the lowest point right now, bro. Even as well as that, bro. In 3 months, where my lease expires, bro. If I don't end up making a lot of this shit work, bro, we could be in a really tough position, bro. And it is my responsibility, bro, to, as much as from my wisdom of goal setting and attaining your goals, I've never felt like setting a time limit has usually helped, because it adds that level of pressure. But we're now gonna be going into a position where we have 3 fucking months left until that lease ends, and we have got to make it work, bro. Otherwise, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't even want to think about it, bro. But that's the brutal reality, where it's like, I've kind of got to make it work. And there's part of me that really does think, and again, for this episode, you know what, bro? My setups this week, we can go into it, bro. I'm totally down with it. But I think this is more of a productive, where I just kind of tell you guys how my week was, and the lessons I took away from it, and the things you guys can take away from it. For yourselves. I'll go over the setups briefly when I finish this rant, but and that's really the case, bro. So I've got to really lock the fuck in, bro. And as I was saying, I think with what I've been studying with the metaphysical aspect with my mindset, I've got 3 months to really test this shit, bro. To really like put it into fucking practice, bro. I think it's so fucking easy to be all happy and gloom, and not gloom, all happy and high frequency when shit's going good, when things are stable. But I really do think it's your test of character when shit goes fucking left, bro. When you start realizing shit's not going your way. Fucking life's beating you fucking down, bro. And I think it's really in those moments where the 1% are proven, bro. The minorities are proven. The reason why being in the 1% or being in the 0.1% is the way it is because it's like that for a fucking reason, bro. Most people don't get there, bro. And, you know, I think it really does come down to, I think this is probably going to be one of the toughest battles, or at least this week was one of the toughest battles in my life yet, because I've realized all of these things. I've gone through so much failures, all of these different things, that I've come to this resolve right now. And I thought I'd mention it to you guys, because I've got to be transparent on this journey. But I look at it as well, it's like, the bigger the fall, bro, the bigger the fucking comeback, bro. The better the satisfaction, bro. The better the journey. The better the fucking story, bro. So, quite frankly, bro, the worse it gets, the better it gets. That's how I'm looking at it. But that is the severity of the current situation. But aside from that, let's go into at least some of the productive things from the trades. So one thing I'll say about the trades, these trades, when I recorded that video yesterday, I keep saying yesterday, bro. Last week, it was a 92% win rate. So I went over 13 sessions. I'll try and pull up the data. But I went through 13 sessions of June and I had a 92% win rate. Bro, I don't even know what the fucking win rate this week, but it was horrible, bro. And I think one of the things I went into this week, as far as like, in fact, I'll go over the trades very briefly and I'll go over my summaries and what I back tested on Saturday so I can come up with the solutions for you guys. But going into Monday, that was the trade. We took that on our fundeds and evals. Once again here, you can seem like a decent setup, but it really wasn't a setup. This setup, when I was backtesting it, was earlier in the fucking session, bro. But it was part of what we were testing on the 92% win rate. Yes, it was a dub. I think we did 114 on our fundeds across all of them, and it was an evals break even. I put here good first hit on the pullback model. I'm gonna need to adjust and learn break even timings, where to set orders. Feel like I just need to wrap out. And that's really what it was, bro. I think I also did mention it last episode where I knew I would maybe be taking a small fucking hit. I say fucking small. I took fucking, I don't know, such a big hit this week, bro. Bro, but I said that in the short term, my trading results could take a hit, and they are, and they did. And I think I've kind of come to realization with that. But again, taking it as going into tomorrow and a market open on Monday, we adapt, bro. We don't let this shit get to us, bro. But that was the first trade. When I back tested it, as I mentioned, it was a W. I'll go over the results at the end. Tuesday, I'll put up the trade, and yeah, bro, evals blown, and yeah, and this was the unfortunate part, and this is where the downfall started to hit, bro. And I mean, you guys probably won't even fucking believe it, bro. It's genuinely so fucking embarrassing, bro. I can't believe I even fucking did it, bro. But I pretty much, when you trade, at least how I trade, I don't have like a major copy syncer yet. When I get to 10 accounts, I will. But I'm trading on Tradeovate. And on Tradeovate, I'm trading on 5 funded accounts on Lucid. And then I'm pretty much trying to pass 5 Apex accounts as well. And they're both 2 Tradeovate tabs on my screen. And yeah, bro, I fucking full ported my funded thinking it was my fucking eval, bro. And yeah, bro, I realized this like mid-trade when I was like, when it was starting to get into the stop loss range. I realized that, and I was like, what the fuck, bro? What do I do, bro? Do I let this shit, do I get myself out of this order, or do I let it ride? And I just realized, like, bro, it's more beneficial I just let it ride, bro. And it was about when I was like $1,500 in drawdown, my daily loss limit and my max loss limit was about to be triggered. It was, there was no point in taking it out because it would have been way worse to get back. And as you guys can see, we fucking got stopped out. And the fucking really annoying thing is, that was the fucking end result, bro. Which means, hypothetically, that could have been like a fucking 3K day across all of my fucking accounts. And that would have been eligible for a payout. That would have been so many things. And yeah, bro. But the more important thing for me was that I blew another set of evals again, bro. A fucking again. And so that was that. Post-session character building. And that's when I kind of get the realization of the crisis of meaning, bro, by Alex Hormozy. And I was like, bro, this is really it, bro. This is really fucking it, bro. And I always thought about, like, when people said, like, bro, when you see a lot of traders talk about their success journeys, like, yeah, bro, I went through so many blown evals, bro. I went through so much shit. And then, you know, you just gotta stick through it, bro. And I always thought to myself, like, no, I don't need to do that, bro. Like, that's for you, bro, but I'm me, bro. And I think this week particularly was maybe even a humbling experience, bro. Because I really didn't, in my brain, I didn't think I could get to that point. I thought I could see and learn from other people's mistakes and make sure that's not me. But it ended up being me this week. And so, once again, resolve And as I put here, true colors are shown in times like that. And the reality is, bro, I was for like 10 minutes, I was like in complete dead silence, sitting on the fucking floor. But 10 minutes later, I was already making a plan, bro, of how we can get back on this. What's the next step? And I think that's really the whole point of this, bro. I say all these things of like having a bad week or whatever, but I think at the end of it, never once in my brain was I like, bro, I'm gonna give up on this shit. I'm gonna stop on this shit. Never fucking once, bro. And it's not gonna cross my brain, bro. And I think for a trader, if you're in this sort of conundrum like I am right now, I think the worst thing you can do is give up right now. I think the worst thing you can do is dig into that frequency deeper, get into that energy, let that hit you, bro. Let that get you off your game. I think the best thing you can do, and what I've realized from studying the overview with the metaphysical overview that I've been listening to, that I've already mentioned so many times, and specifically like the past 2 episodes, is when you have that old frequency trying to pull you back, you can't ignore it, bro. You have to face it, and then switch your frequency, switch energy state, bro. Make sure you don't let that overcome you, bro. Because as the old frequency, what it wants you to do, it just wants to keep you there. It wants you to be frustrated. It wants you to be angry. And it's your responsibility to not let that happen and just keep fucking stepping, bro. And that's what I took away from that. But that was that, bro. I also put here, I think, the recap I could have shortened here. And this is going to be one of the reflections of why going into my following trades, I think they're going to be a lot better setups. But that was a glimpse, right? So we had a 30-second inversion there, and that was a much better setup. My biases as well going into this week were just horrible as well, bro. My biases were just not on point. And you know, as much as I can look at trading as like a pure strategy based business in a game, I think a large part of it could also be 100% mental. Like I think a lot of this week was just my mental taking over me, bro, and just making shit purposely go fucking bad, and just testing my character, bro. Because the second I backtested every single fucking trade on Saturday, when I had complete emotional regulation, nothing on the fucking line, nothing going on, I'll go over the results, but I think I had a W every single fucking day. And I genuinely, the clear opportunities in the market this week that were presented were second to none, bro. And I missed every single one of them. And well, I don't want to say missed every single one of them, but most of them. And that was that. Backtested, I put here, I had a win and I had a loss. Wednesday, one positive I took away from this week, I actually, and this is really could be valuable for a lot of people, is I started watching, or I watched Matthew Walker and X, the Diary CEO, Sleep podcast. I watched 2 of them, bro. So it was like a 3-4 hour podcast. That's something I'm trying to optimize, is my sleep. And I think the best takeaways I took away from that is I'm cutting out caffeine. I think that's just the way he fucking talked about caffeine. I just had to cut it. I'm going to cut it off. Implementing sleep regularity. So he said a large part of getting good sleep is having regularity, sleeping at the same times. And he said the best window you can look at it is from 50-minute intervals. So either 50 minutes before or 50 minutes after a set time every single day, weekdays and weekends. For me, that's going to be 12:30 a.m. to 1 a.m. And that's obviously Dubai time. And then 30 minutes, no phone. That's another thing I'm going to be implementing. And so that's that. As far as the trade, another L, bro. We tagged into the 1 hour. This was actually, I don't think this was a really bad setup. I think maybe the bias was maybe what was wrong here. But again, we took a L. I don't want to really go into it that much. Second trade, took another fucking L. Breaker structure to the always. Yeah, bro. I think again we blow another set of evals here. Just horrible trading sessions. And yeah, when I backtested, I had a W. I'm gonna try and speed through. Again, this is genuinely horrible for me to read right now, bro. I really don't want to do this shit, bro. Thursday, one thing I actually started to do from Thursday, I removed my white wall stare because I figured and it's crazy because I've been such a big advocate for this, but the white wall stare, the problem with the white wall stare, what I found is that it's just unproductive. You're just staring at a fucking white wall for nothing, bro. And nobody told me this in the comments, bro. But you're just staring at a white fucking wall, and it's like, yeah, you can get the dopamine regulation, the relaxation aspect, but you're just staring at a wall. So what I'm doing is, I'm just replacing it with meditation, bro. I used to meditate when I was like 15, bro. When I like first wanted to set out my journey to make money, to improve my life, to change my life. I used to meditate like every fucking day, bro, and I ended up stopping. But I think it's something I'm gonna come back to, because even in the overview, it mentions deep visualized thinking, and I take that exactly as meditation, to be honest, and that's what I'm gonna be implementing, and that's what I've switched. And the thought process behind it is that it's more productive. I'm using my brain to actually think of things, manifest things, and actually like envision things rather than just staring at a white fucking wall, bro. So that's what I'm doing as of Thursday. And first trade, fucking L, bro. I don't think, was this again, I don't think that was a really bad setup either, as far as the bias maybe. No, I don't think it was. But yeah, I think it was just a stop loss issue. Yeah, so again, at this point, on Thursday, I started to kind of switch up my way of trading, and I think this is where I kind of started to slowly but surely get kind of better results. But that was the setup. So I actually ended up hitting my target, but we got stopped out. And then second trade, again, took an L. And then I put here, should have been more bullish for the day. Once again, this is just a complete wrong bias read. Bro, I for some reason, I was just looking for shorts. I was fixated on a bias. I thought it was going to be bearish. And I was really close-minded, bro. I didn't really think we would be going bullish, but and like I said, I found every reason to try and be bearish. And once again, that was my judgment being clouded. Me putting my thoughts onto the market and not letting the market do what it wants to do, and me seeing what it wants to do and following suit. So we took an L there. When I backtested, fucking kid you not, we took a W. So Friday, and then Friday, one of the things I put here, so this is actually a framework I took away from the overview that I'm listening to when shit doesn't go your way, and like I said, your old frequency starts hitting. So everybody has their ways of how their old frequency tries to hit them back, bro. Whether it wants to get you frustrated, whether it wants you to get you angry, whether it wants you to feel hopelessness. All of these key different things, everybody's going to have different tickers of what gets them back into the old version of themselves before they become the new versions of themselves. So in this framework, what I took away from it was, when the old frequency hit, number one, it said, give yourself grace. Falling back is normal. This is the trap of the old frequency. And what it meant by the trap of the old frequency is that your frequency wants to strive for perfection. It wants things to be perfect. It wants things to never be going south. But it said on here that that's perfectly normal, and things will go south. Things won't always go your way as you need. Second thing, transcend the label of wrong. You make the laws of your reality. There is no wrong. Meaning, if you think it's going to be wrong and you think it's a bad situation, it's going to be a bad situation. I'm sitting here talking about my week, and it might seem really negative in terms of like, it was a horrible week, it was a bad week, as I said it even at the start of this video. But I'm not making it a bad week for myself. You know, I'm saying it's a bad week, but in my brain, it's not a bad week. It's a week that I'm taking lessons away from this. It's a week where I'm going to bounce back from this. And that's one of the second points. The third point, there's only four. The third point, alter how you look at life. Meaning less. Choose to see everything right. Necessary and as a test to battle through. So yeah, just be kind of, what I think I took away from here is just look at it from as a test. Look at it as not that meaningful. Don't look at it as like such a bad fucking thing, bro. And more importantly, see it as a test to battle through. And as I stated earlier, bro, genuinely, bro, this is why even the statistic is like 98% of traders fail, bro. It's for a fucking reason, bro. It's literally for times like this, and I can already see it happening. And again, I'm gonna look back at this video and be like, that was it, bro. I pushed through, and that's that, bro. And 4 was stand calmly among the chaos. The world can only give you what you give yourself. Cultivate peace and calm to resolve that feeling. And once again, it kind of goes over the feelings. Like if you want to feel angry, if you want to feel all these emotions, then you're just hindering yourself. but stand calm amongst the chaos. The world can only give you what you give yourself, was the fourth point. So it was a little bit of a practical framework that I probably will be looking back to whenever it hits, but that's that. And then obviously on Friday, we took a hit. We tagged into a 4-hour gap. I think a lot of people missed this trade actually. They took longs here. I guess obviously the Trump candle was beneficial, but we tagged into a 4-hour gap. We had inverse the 30-minute, I think it was like the 30-second or the 1 minute. And it was actually a pretty decent setup. And obviously smacked. And that was that. And then obviously as we backtested, that was also a W. And as far as Saturday, my backtesting summary, the first thing I did, and this is probably a practice I'm going to be doing for the next 3 weeks, 4 weeks specifically, but even could potentially keep it as like a long-term habit. I'm going to be backtesting every single week consistently, bro, while keeping in mind with the trades that I took. So one of the first things I did this week when I backtested, I said, fuck the data, let me flow. And what I meant by that is last week, bro, I was a tryhard. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I was tracking all of these different metrics, all these different key things. And when I was on Saturday, bro, I was so beaten up mentally that I'm like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit. Let me just cook, bro. Let me flow. Let me just be in a flow state. Let me not have any pressures, have to track data, all these different things. And I think that was actually a beneficial thing for me to do. I think that really helped. And I said, fuck the data, let me flow. The second thing, I realized I was only looking for 5, 10, and 15-minute gap imbalances, which closed my perspective. When I was backtesting, a lot of the key levels that I would exit from and I would execute from would be 1-hour gaps, 1-hour BPR gaps, 4-hour gaps, sometimes even 30-minute gaps. But I had solely backtested my 92% win rate through a 5, 10, and a 15-minute gap. And it completely closed my perspective. It closed me off to so many opportunities, not being open to, not being able to see the shifts happening in the market and being closed-minded. Next point, flawed when... What the fuck was that? Flowed when it was backtesting, so many differences. Oh yeah, and this is another thing. And then back to the point of, actually the next tangible thing is inversions. So one of the things when I was kind of like backtesting on my pullback model is how I'm referring to it. And it's kind of like like I said, it's like the IFEG model, the I inverse fair value gap model. But I like to see it as like a pullback with a variation of that, because I'm looking for the pullback and then I'm going to be looking for the entry point. One thing I've realized, I am now going to be taking the entry based off when it goes up rather than when it goes down. So like, for example, I'm going to try and pull up a screenshot right now on the screen where this is super clear. Let me see. I'm going to go on my trades on my phone. I want to find like a good setup here. In fact, you know what? I might just even backtest it on my screen myself and put it up on the screenshot. But it's when the move happens rather than taking it on the move down. So I'm gonna try and put up 2 screenshots so it makes sense. One will be the right version, the other will be the wrong version. Or not the right or wrong, but the more efficient one to get the better entry. And I realized when I was backtesting and I was going through that way, it worked a lot better for me. And it was pretty much just taking inversions on the move that it happened, rather than taking inversions on the move when it's happening. That's probably the best way to describe that. And then yeah, I flowed when it was backtesting, so many differences than the week, and I had much better results. And I just realized this week, bro, I think I was just really close-minded, bro. And so, again, I had much better results. I gave less of a fuck, bro. I was completely emotionally detached. And I think I need to bring that level of detachment and bring that level of just like flowing, bro. Like I was genuinely in a fucking flow state, bro. And I cooked and I knew exactly what I was doing. And I remember I was backtesting. And I'm like, how the fuck did I not see this shit, bro? How the fuck did I not execute it? Like generally this week could have been such a profitable week, bro. Could have been a really good week. But it's like, bro, I really did take it as a character building weekend. And like I said, the severity of the situation is going to start continuing to rise, bro. Like I said, my lease ends in 3 months. Pretty much all of my savings are depleted. I'm loaning money. It is the low right now, bro. And the way I look at it, bro, it's like I can sit here and I can be angry at myself, but I have to smile, bro. I have to smile and look at this with grace. See this as an opportunity to prove to the universe, to prove to myself that I am who the fuck I say I am, bro. And I think I mentioned this on prior episodes, but I think it's easy as fuck to say you're the man or that you can believe in yourself or you have all these qualities about yourself when shit's going good, bro. But when shit's going south, like who the fuck are you, bro? Who are you as an individual? How do you show up? And I look at this as like the greater the fall, the greater the fucking comeback, bro. That's what I tell myself. And really for anybody who's maybe going through shit, or maybe if you're not going through shit and you're going to be going through shit, whatever is the case, look at it as a comeback, bro. Look at it as a battle, bro. Look at it as everything's going wrong, and the wronger it can get, the worse the situation can get, the better the feeling, the better the comeback, the better the fucking story, bro. And just realize that, again, anything worthwhile getting is not gonna come fucking easy, bro. Shit's not gonna come fucking easy, bro. And quite frankly, you know, to an extent, sometimes the harder it can get, bro, the more difficult it can get, the better the satisfaction will be when you achieve your fucking goal. And for me, that's 100k a month, and mark my words, bro, I am making that shit fucking work, bro. And this is gonna be a really good episode for me to look back on, because it was, again, the roughest week, bro, by far, so far on my trading journey. We blown so many fucking evals, we just, again, really, it was nuts, bro. And really, aside from outside of the markets, I was so locked in as well, bro. Like my habits, my fucking, everything I'm doing outside of the charts is just so locked in. It was just on the charts, I got my fucking ass handed to me, bro. But aside from that, I don't want to let my negativity hit to you guys. Hopefully at the end, that was a good perspective shift for you. Shift. And aside from that, bro, you know, hope you guys had a good week. Regardless, hope you guys have a good week. And aside from that, keep fucking crushing.